Good evening, gamers, and welcome to yet another exciting episode of Games with Dave. Tonight, I have the pleasure of being joined by my friend and one of the nicest guys in the indie RPG zine scene, John Hambone McGuire.
Hey.
Hambone is currently running a backer kit project for the 5th anniversary expansion of his kick-ass 321 RPG, as well as a new book for the system called the Encyclopedia Monstergoria. There's still 10 days left to back the project. If you haven't done it yet, click the link down in the description and get on back in that. But welcome back to the show, buddy.
Oh, dude, my pleasure. It's nice to see you somewhat face to face and not just over a text chat on Facebook. So
I know. How have you been? Like,
good. Just head down, writing and working on stuff. I've had the distinct pleasure to be able to work with not only Geo on 321 RPG, but I've been working with Brian Shutter, the Neon Lord, on our Zombie Brain Eaters game. I've been working with Levi Combs on something for Planet X. And I just wrapped up a WHPA adventure for Joey Royale's WHPA backer kit that I submitted as well. So I've been busy, in addition to working on Action 321 RPG.
That is a lot of stuff to have going on, and I love Zombie Brain Eaters. I want to talk about that at some point tonight because it is such a both fun and lethal system. The dice system you guys came up with for that is quite literally killer.
Yeah, that was Brian kind of doing. He sat there quietly for a minute, and then he's like, "What if we did this?" And I was like, "Yes." So we'll definitely talk about that in a little bit, though. That's good. That's a good topic.
It is. I've got a lot. I usually have like 2 to 3 pages. I've got like 4 pages of talking points. So hopefully you've got a little while to hang out.
Yeah, for sure.
Really, my first question, I've never asked you this, is where did the nickname Hambone come from?
Well,
if it's internet appropriate.
Well, I'll tell you, we dove. This is not a punt, but my friends and I, we had a short-lived podcast called Casual Interactions. It's still up. You can find it, Casual Interactions, and we got to the bottom of it there. And I will tell you that I had a version of the story that I'd been telling for 20 years, and then when we got together, I heard their version of the story. So there's conflicting stories, but the gist of it is my version, which I think is the correct version, was. It was a wild party. It was the middle of the night. I was even larger than I am currently. And I was leaning over into the fridge to get something to drink. And from the shadows, my friend, stoned out of his mind, says, "Hambone, get me a Coke." And I looked up, and that's it. When you answer to the name, it becomes your name. So I've been Hambone. People call me Hambone now for about 23, 24 years. But yeah, there's different versions of the story. There's a more blue version of the story, but we're gonna keep it show friendly.
All right. So we may as well jump right into things.
Yeah, man.
As I was saying before we went on the air, I cannot wait for these books. As you know, I love your system.
Thank you.
I got to play it at TotalCon for the first time, and then we did the playtest stuff that I think did you say we're still going back to that, or is that like sidelined for the time being?
So it's not necessarily sidelined. It's a pivot because we started a free Patreon, and we've been really trying to get more involved in the Discord. That's the dirty secret that no one tells you when you start getting into RPGs and start writing, is that you don't just get to be the writer. You got to do like 6 or 12 different other things. So I've been running an unpublished adventure for people just to have them try out the system and try to get their feet wet with it. It's fast, it's loose. It's called Avon by the Sea. It is something it's one of the first things I wanted to write 5 years ago, but I haven't gotten around to it yet. So I'll get around to it eventually. And then Gio will come in and put his magic on it, and then we'll release it. But, it's a story about being young and on vacation with your family. And after a hurricane, an ancient evil kind of gets released in the town that you're in that you can't escape because the roads are kind of washed out. So it's you and some fast friends that you made on vacation, trying to do your best and save the town and save the people you love, all before having to go back to school in the fall. So it's pretty cool, and I'm very excited about it. I don't want to kind of get too deep into it because I don't want to give away the twist. But
No,
yeah,
but that sounds super fun.
yeah, that's what I've been running for people lately, so they could try out the system. They can get comfortable with making different roles and understanding how to fill the plot hole in 2 sentences, which is our way of giving you an opportunity to kind of talk your way out of a penalty to your roles, things like that.
Or die like I did.
You,
And
you tried in a very spectacular manner, man. I appreciate it.
So the expanded rules,
Yep.
the OG zine was 47 pages. What will be the page count with the new hardcover, roughly?
That's a great question. We're expecting it to be about 150 pages. Not all rules, because we have a lot of those rules that are, pretty set. However, we're also going to add in some stealth rules, add in some detective rules. Like right now, our rule for detection is just let them find it. Because I think a lot of people this will resonate with a lot of people who play RPGs. There's always that moment where someone's like, I want to roll to see if I find a clue, and they blow the roll. And then the next person's like, I want to roll and see if I find the clue too. And now like everyone knows it's there, but no one is rolling for it. And I'm just like, forget it. Just let them find it. But we came up with some what we call detective rules, which gives you a way to have a little bit more robust ruling when it comes to looking for clues, but that's something that'll stack nicely with the 3-2-1 RPG system. We're going to put in a how to play section. One of the things that I think a lot of RPGs moved away from, for better or worse, is a section that actually shows you how the game is played. Like it gives you like a sample of like play where you make up the names of different people and like, I want to roll an action check. I want to jump this fence. I want to do this. I want to do that. So you can see how 3-2-1 RPG goes.
Right.
We're going to do a more robust, because rolling characters was kind of an afterthought for us, because every one of our adventures comes with pre-gen characters, but we're going to put a more robust how to create your own character and roll your own character, how to make a special ability for the character and balance it for the system. There's also going to be we're going to expand the fantasy rules, even though we haven't put out the fantasy adventure yet, but it's going to be basically how to convert weapons from whatever fantasy role-playing system that you're using to be able to use in 3-2-1 RPG. And it actually scales nicely. Like if you're looking at like, a longsword that does 1d8 damage, you would just convert that to do -2 damage. So you're still doing 1 to 8 damage. Things like that.
Gotcha. That's pretty cool. And a lot of people have gotten away from that, and I think it's because people are getting away from the what is an RPG, which inevitably entails chopping that as well. And I agree, especially where 3-2-1 is a little different from other games.
And I think it's a great point. Like people do get away from it, and I think there's a lot of reasonable, it's understandable why they would do it, because every page you add is more money that you have to pay, that you have to potentially put to the customer, and then if you add like 1 page, you're really adding 4 pages, so it keeps escalating from there. However, I do think it's important and it's maybe something I didn't really understand previously when we were just kind of haphazardly throwing rule books together just to be able to have something for people to read, then play the adventures, is that when you have a unique rule set or a rule set that's unique to most people who play tabletop RPGs, it really is important that you explain to them the why, the how, and then show them how to do it themselves.
Right.
because otherwise you're kind of just dropping it out of them and being like, good luck with that. And also, like when it comes down to the thought on the conversion of weaponry, it's easy to say, oh, our thing is compatible with like, you can play this with kind of any kind of game you want, but you don't actually show them the things that are important that would relate to those other games. So, that's something that we want to do. And then also, we're going to have multiple short adventures in the book. So if you just buy the rule book, obviously we want you to buy more of our adventures. We're a for-profit organization, absolutely. But just buy the rule book. You're going to have 4 adventures created by Gio and I. And as it stands now, an additional adventure by Joey Royale, an adventure by Brian Shutter. And if we can reach 10K, you're going to get Jay Domingo from Mystic Punks and Levi Combs from Planet X Games, which I think we're going to do. I'm
nice.
We're moving in the right direction, but we're going to give you a book that's going to be loaded that, you're going to want to buy more adventures because you're going to play through the cool adventures that we have in these books. You're going to get a taste for really what we do. And I'm really excited about it, man. It's going to be really pretty cool.
That's awesome. So speaking of the adventures, so that'll be, if you get Jay and Levi, that'll be 8 adventures in the book, which is just bonkers.
Yeah.
Are you just kind of letting, and they're also doing monsters as well, each of them, right?
So each adventure is going to have a boss, which will be some kind of monster, whether it's like a human monster, a monster, ghost, whatever. Those will also get ported over into the Encyclopedia Monstergoria as well. Because how would I not include these badass monsters that my homies created as well?
Yeah. Now, are you just letting these guys like go to town, or do you have like stuff that you wanted them to work on, or?
I'm just letting them do what they want. I think they know how 3-2-1 RPG works. They know generally what the audience is like for 3-2-1 RPG. I know they're not going to put anything fucked up in there that's going to.
Right.
We can curse, right? We're good with cursing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They're not gonna put anything fucked up in there that's gonna make people uncomfortable. But I want them to have fun with it, and that's why you invite other people to collaborate because you want them to bring what they bring to your party. And also for me, it's as much as this is Gio and I's book and our system and what we have built together, the RPG community has been really great to me, man, and I love the idea of giving back in the way where I can turn you on to my friend's stuff while you're getting into what I do. I talk about it. I've talked about it in interviews before, but growing up in the punk rock scene, the emo scene, the music scene in general, it's kind of cutthroat in a lot of ways. And, there's only so many spots at the top or even in the middle. But when it comes to tabletop RPGs, I really do think all boats rise. And so, if I am so crazy about the work that these dudes do, I know everyone else is going to be really psyched when they get their hands on it too. And also it shows a different palette than the kind of stories that Gio and I tell. So yeah, it's gonna have 8, hopefully, knocking on wood, 8 adventures in it. It's gonna be a thick book.
150 pages, to tripling the page count. That is insane.
Yeah, and we're only charging $30 for the book. Money's tight for everybody. Obviously, we're a for-profit organization. You're going to say that a lot because we need your money so we can make these books. But we also know that we have the opportunity to really get this in people's hands and have people get this to the table. So that's why we're doing a deal on the backer kit where you can get the rule book for $30. You can get the Encyclopedia Monstergoria for $30, or you can get them both for $50. So you're saving $10. You're getting 2 badass books.
Dude. Yeah, I can testify, having bought as much of your stuff as I did at TotalCon, that you kick ass with your projects. And when we played Sunrise Limited.
Yeah, the Sunrise Limited.
TotalCon, that was so effing fun.
That was great. I mean, and everyone brought it that day. We had more players than we probably could accommodate for the adventure, but we made it work. And our thing is we want everyone to feel like they can be a hero, give everyone a hero moment, send them home happy. And that's really like one of the goals of 321 RPGs, giving the players the opportunity to do all the cool shit that they want to do. And then, go home, driving home that night, feeling like, hell yeah, I did that. I totally killed that dude with a can of peaches because he had.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. And speaking of cool things, one thing that you did that I've noticed a lot of other creators have started doing with their projects that I absolutely love is adding incentives for backers to jump in the first 48 hours of the project, which I assume is to try to get it backed quickly and kind of have that, it's backed. Now we can just focus on the stretch goals and hammering all this stuff out, yada, yada. But what can you tell folks that were able to hop in the first 48 hours about the perk, the Good Night's Field Guide?
So one of the cool things I think about RPGs, you always have that one buddy at the table who takes notes. And you get the other buddy who's always sketching, people are writing stuff down. So what we wanted to do was give you a notebook for you to be able to keep track of stuff in. Whether it's creating your own monsters, whether it's drawing a map, whether it's, keeping track of the items that you find, or like little notes on the adventure so you don't get lost. So it's going to be a short notebook. It's not going to be a Mead 5-star 5-subject notebook, but it's going to be a cool notebook with a cool cover that you can write all the notes and stuff for your adventure in. We also had a thing for returning backers where we had an art print. So if you backed
That's right.
any of our projects, this is our 10th project. If you backed any of the projects whatsoever, there's an 11 by 17 art print drawn by Zach Gialongo, which is a riff on the Encyclopedia Monstergoria cover as well that we're giving away. And so I goofed this up. So I have this thing set up where I'm an idiot. I've never done backer kit before, but I had this thing set up to where if you got notified of the launch, right? We made a zine. Now we had these 4 solo adventures: The Hotel Exorcist, Only the Lonely, Grounded for Life, Hard Times in the Back Nine, and Ski Quest. And it is comically expensive to print pamphlets when you can just print a whole zine. And we didn't want to reprint the 4 individual pamphlets. So we had our buddy Cheese Up, who does a lot of layout and art design work for us. He took the pamphlets, he turned it into a 28-page zine, right? So it's a solo play zine called Solo Adventures. And what we also did was we reached out to the artists who did work on those solo play adventures, and we got one more piece of art from them so we could fully stat out the boss for it. So if you want to get your feet wet right away with 321 RPG, on the backer kit, there is a quick start rule set. And once you back the adventure, you will go through the posts and the updates, and it'll unlock the solo missions PDF zine, which is 32 pages long. So you can start playing right away. So I ended up putting it out there for everybody because I couldn't figure out how to just send it to people. So I'll get them next time.
That sounds like a Dave move for sure.
Yeah.
Those crowdfunding sites aren't as like they're not like a set it and just go type thing. They've got like 800 steps you have to go through to do something, and it's like, what the fuck?
Well, I'll tell you, backer kit's been great. And honestly, I have nothing bad to say about Kickstarter. We've done our first 9 campaigns with Kickstarter. I had friends who were doing backer kit. I wanted to work with backer kit's marketing department, so we went over to backer kit for this one. It was something that I screwed up on the front end.
Well, that's what I mean. It's just confusing as all hell, though,
Yeah.
of like trying to click through all those things and be like, what did I just do?
Once you get set up, their system is pretty seamless, man. I got to tell you.
Nice. So
I got no complaints.
Awesome. So we did kind of touch on the stretch goals a little bit. Because I can't remember the amounts you said that Levi and I already forgot his name because
So
I'm a dummy too.
we wanted to make it easy and give people the chance to really reach these stretch goals. So we made them every $1,000 over goal.
Nice.
So 6,000 was Joey, 7,000 was Brian, 8,000 is Levi, 9,000 is Jay Domingo from Mystic Punks, and at 10,000, the Epic Levels guys, Epic Level Rap Gods, the Mad Dungeon podcast, they've been creating hip hop tracks for a lot of different RPGs. So they'll create one for 321 RPG, and we'll get that out as well at 10K.
Dude, that's sick.
It is pretty sick. Yeah, those dudes are good. They're extremely talented, and some of my favorite people to hang out with in the hobby. So, and just in general, just righteous dudes, man.
Dude, that's so awesome. I've like, at least me being old, I can just see a play on the 321 contact.
I don't know what they're going to do. I do know that I kind of dropped a bomb on them because, for some people who've been watching, you may be like 321 RPG. That sounds familiar. Almost 5 years ago, we started as 321 action. So 3, 2, 1, ... action, exclamation point, which is my idea. And I thought it was clever branding. I thought it would like stick out, and it just made it a pain in the ass for people to search for. So earlier this year, we got rid of all the extra bullshit, and it was just 321 action RPG straight up. And then while we're working with the Backgate marketing team, they send us back an email with the notes on what they're going to do as far as all the text goes for the posts for the ads. And on top of it, it just said 321 RPG, and Gio was standing literally right there over my shoulder, and he's like, "Whoa, buddy, I love that." And I was like, "What?" And he's like, 321 RPG. He's like, it just really does. It sounds better. It's easier to say. It kind of encompasses what we do because we're kind of a genre neutral RPG. And so I was like, if we're going to do this, we got to do this right now because we're launching next week. And he's like, let's do it. So I had to just go through all the rebranding, and a lot of fast moves were made to get it to 321 RPG. But while I was doing all this, I had a meeting with the Epic Levels guys. I was like, yeah, he's like, I got some cool stuff, rhymes with action, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, hey, man, funny story. And he's like, all right, I'll figure it out. He's like, but can I still use the word action? I was like, bro, whatever makes it work. I'm so sorry.
Well, it messed with me because like I didn't catch it until I started writing my talking points tonight. And I'm like 321 action. Wait a minute. And I'm like 321 RPG. And then I'm just doing find all, delete. And I'm like, oh, damn it. And I almost said it when we were in my intro. I almost said 321 action RPG, and I caught myself. And
try being the one that created it after almost 5 years. I'm like, it's so like in my like lizard brain part of my brain. It's like tattooed in there. It's like, no, you don't say action anymore. It's fine. It's cool. I like it a lot better. Zach Giolongo, who has done a lot of art for us, he did all the logo work, and so I called him up. I was like, I need you, man. And he turned it around. He turned it around very quickly for us.
Dude, I love the new logo. I think it does sound a lot. It rolls off the tongue a little easier, saying 321 RPG. But yeah, I think it's just ingrained in my lizard brain from having all the old stuff where it says 321 action on it, that it's just like, shit, I can't have that on there now. Delete, delete, delete.
Yeah, and I mean, like we did something with Crawl for the Cure, and he had just changed it from the 1 to 3 to an action RPG, and I was like, hey man, I know you just changed it like yesterday, but it's cool though, man. Like the website was available, which I'm still having some issues moving things over with the DNS, but I'm figuring it out. The website was available. Everything was available for it. So it was like, okay, it's Kismet. It's meant to be.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome because I have a domain that I went to look at the other day for another project I'm working on, and I almost choked because it was $7,000, or I could lease it for $159 a month through GoDaddy. And I was just like, nope. I'm like, we're adding a dash in there instead of going with the And it was $11.99, so it
Yeah,
was perfect.
yeah, it's a huge difference.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep. And yeah, it'll work out. Um, so I guess next would be talking about what I'm really stoked for because of the way you're doing it, which we'll get into, but is the Encyclopedia Monstergoria.
thank you.
Um, what was the catalyst really for creating a monster book for 321 RPG?
You know, it's just it's something that we kind of like. We had a lot of different ideas and for a lot of different things that we wanted to do, and trying to figure out like different ways to do it, different ways to put it out. But everyone loves a monster book. For me, RPGs like the best books are the monster books, because that's ultimately that's the thing that's going to give me the most ideas and thoughts on how to make set pieces and you know, get people from A to B so they can fight this monster. And also, I love the art. I love like the lore. I love it. And I know it seems like a broad generalization, but I think a lot of people who are into RPGs love monster books too. Um, in fact, like whenever you go to someone's house and you see their collection of like D&D books, there are like whole editions they have just gotten rid of, but they always keep the monster books.
Yeah.
So we wanted to do that, and Gio, who is the co-creator of 320 RPGs, my partner in this, co-wrote all the adventures. Um, Dude's like next level. He's a genius. And he's like, I want to do something different with the monster book. And he was like, what if we approached it in like somewhat of a non-traditional sense? Like we did it in a way where like David Attenborough meets like a first edition style monster manual.
Nice.
And so we started working on that, and porting monsters over like that, where it's not so much about like hard hard stats and hard attacks. You have the stats and they're gonna have a special ability for the creature, some basic combat tactics, but the real meat of it is going to be the description, the makeup, and the lore about the creature. You know, and we have a sample page that we put out to the patrons. I'm going to put it out for everyone later this week because it's a free Patreon, so I can get away with that. But we did a thing where, like, you know, talking about when Darwin first went to the Galapagos, and you know, encountering like these weird sea creatures, and we take it from there. So it's going to be a book full of that. It's going to be most of the monsters that we created. In the last 5 years. Some of the boss monsters, I think we might leave out, or we might just put them in. We haven't gotten that far yet, but we're also going to put in. And if you want to do this on the backer kit, there's polls you can take to say what kind of monsters you want us to put in there as well. But I want to put in the classic universal style monsters, basic stats for like Bob the Goon, or like, you know, whatever like the toady is for like a bad dude, like, you know, just generic dude stats, um, and things like that. And it's also going to be probably about 150 pages as well. It's going to be a nice thick book as well.
Dude, nice.
And we're doing hardcovers where we kind of hit a point where we're like, we're going to do this. We're going to try to in and out the choices here and give you like limited options, but the options you're going to have are going to be really cool. Because in the past, we, you know, like, listen, we're independent publishers. We've made some mistakes in the thinking of like, well, we're going to do a hardcover version, a softcover version, and this and that. And it's like, in and out burger, baby.
Nice. I like it.
Cheeseburger, you got a hamburger.
So for the younger folks out there, can you explain who David Attenborough was? Because like he was, if I remember correctly, he was the Mutual of Omaha.
Yeah, I mean, he did like the voiceovers of like, and I forget the name of the show offhand, but like he did like, you know, old nature shows. He did like the voiceovers for, and like
Here
things
we
like
have
that.
the cheetah in its natural habitat.
Exactly, exactly. And I think that's a cool way to approach the
Yeah,
monster
dude.
books. Like, you know, you know, and also, you know, one of the things that we've been doing, which I think is like super important, is at the end of every book, there's always a page where it's like, hey, art by, but it tells you what pages the artist's works are on. So if you're like, oh, I really like something, because that to me, and you know, it's kind of like the only thing I would ever like shit on about old D&D is that unless you could really see the baby signature of the artist somewhere, um, or some of them didn't have a signature of the artist, like you wouldn't know who drew what, and you might be like really psyched on something and want to check out more of their work, but how would you know? So,
Right.
um, I it's important, Geo and I, that artists get credit for it because that's really what you're tuning in for. So,
You were just lining up the perfect fastballs for me here tonight for me to swing at, because I was about to bring up artists, because you're working with over, well, it's about a dozen artists on this project.
yeah, and probably more by the time we get done with it.
That is just nuts and awesome at the same time. But
Yeah, I mean, we're not making a movie here that needs to kind of look like the same thing from beginning to the end. Um, we want to give people like the opportunity to kind of see monsters in different ways and just and give more than just one artist a chance to do their favorite thing in the world, which is draw monsters. So we spread the love around. We normally, with very few exceptions, most of our works, the full length works, will have up to 12, 13 artists in them. Um, Not including the map guy who is an artist, and it's a different kind of art, but like as far as like we're just talking about illustration art. um and yeah, it's cool, man. It's always cool when you open up a book and you just see lots of different kinds of art, and maybe something doesn't grab you at first, but you're going to be all in for something else that you see in the book.
right. And I to go back to it, I think you're absolutely right that the David Attenborough approach is way cooler than like what you're seeing in some of the more, I guess you'd say, mainstream games of like having this huge stat block with like flurry of claws and this like two paragraphs of a description about it, because it's those descriptions and the environment that it's in and what it's known for and where they came from that really get the imagination going.
Yeah, especially for the person who's got to run the game and has to relate that information to the players at the table, because ultimately when you are playing something or you're running something out of a book, you only have your own imagination and what's written to go off of. So why not write something that's cool and robust that'll be all right, giving you that inspirato, and then you're able to take it in your own way because you have enough background to kind of paint around. Creates richer environments for like the layers of the creature and the areas that you're going to be encountering the creatures and or the monsters or whatever. Um, a fun little backstory idea so you can kind of take the mission in its own way, and that's what's cool about it. That's what excites me about it. And also like the benefit of having like over a dozen different artists is, I want the art to excite people the way it excites me,
Yeah.
and I'm very confident with the people we bring in to do it, it will.
Dude, like all of the art in your books, like kicks ass. Like the cover of The Devil in New Jersey
Yep,
to me
Snake
is
Tefani.
like so evocative of like what are they walking into the woods on and stuff like that. And it's it's great. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's a credit to. I mean, that's Nick Tefani, who's an amazing artist. I think it's cool to be able to trust the people that you work with to do the thing that they do. I mean, we give notes. Like right now, we have people working on the Hotel Exorcist, um, doing art for it, and what we send them is like, my wife Sally Canarino, she's a comic book artist. She does a lot of work for us as well. So she'll send them, say, the monster that's appearing in the scene. We'll send them the scene. They read it, they interpret it, they send it back to us, and that's kind of where we're at with it. It's been the rare circumstance where we had to send something back to artists like, hey, can you just make this adjustment here or there? Um, because it's cool to know that like you're a fan of the people that you're hiring to do these works for you, and
Right.
that you know you don't bother them. Just let them do the thing, and you trust them to do it. And when they get it, they end up always over delivering because they are not restrained to do something so specifically that they are free to kind of run with it and enjoy the process of making it. So we've had incredible luck with all the people. I'm knock on wood again. incredible luck with all the people that we worked with. That every single artist is always over delivered.
Very cool. And I'm sure you're going to have continued success, because for an artist, that's got to be so cool versus getting like a 2 to 3 page diatribe on exactly what somebody wants.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just got to be so liberating for them of be like, oh, dude, I know Hambone loves my work. I'm going to make him the most kick-ass monster I can. So,
dude, like when I see this stuff back, I get hype. It's a lot of like all caps text back, like "fuck yeah, oh my god, I love it so much." And it's not me blowing smoke. It's me going like, "Holy shit, this is gonna be in my book."
yeah.
You know, like every time like I open up other people's RPGs, comics, whatever else, I'm just like, man, this is why I tune in. This is why I love this medium. And then like I see the work that people do, and I'm just like, I would buy this if it wasn't mine, you know. And it's and I'm not shy about telling them that, and I'm not shy about gassing them up, because it's just me telling the 110% truth about how I feel about their art. And I also pay fast and on time, so like people are happy.
Yeah, rather than getting like paid 6 months later or tangled up in a lawsuit or something stupid like that to get
Man,
paid, you
you
know?
gotta pay people, and you have to
Yep.
remember that like when you hire someone to do something, they rely on that money, and you can't keep them waiting. So it's been my like always goal to, as long as you don't send it to me while I'm asleep or in a movie, I'll get you paid faster than a pizza will come via delivery.
That's sick,
Because
dude. Good for you.
I don't believe in making people wait or beg when it comes to the money that they're owed.
The RPG industry could use a lot more of that, I think, because
You know, it's tough because, you know, and again, and I'm never. You always try to see the bird's eye view of it, not just the ground truth of it. But like, dude, everyone's scraping by. Most
yeah,
RPG companies, even if you see them making hundreds of thousands of dollars, that money is accounted for down to the penny. So, you know, I've never made
yeah,
I've never made a dime writing for 321 RPG. Every dollar that we make goes back into the product. George doesn't make a dime either. I've made money writing for other companies, which is awesome. But like, you know, every dollar we make goes into making a quality book that you're going to be psyched to have on your shelf. That you're going to be psyched to bring to your friends. You're going to be psyched to have a fun time playing.
and
So,
it shows.
yeah, it's
So,
pretty cool, man.
yeah. Like, dude, like I mean, Jesus, look at this for anyone that hasn't seen this, the Sunrise Limited. I mean,
Very proud of that book.
oh, dude, it is so good. And I could just I like I was saying to you before we went on, I could throw flowers at you all night for the work you've
I don't
done.
know. I
Like
appreciate that.
I love your system.
Thanks.
But rather than go on and ramble about that, because I am good at rambling, um, you have a really cool pledge level that some knucklehead that you're talking to tonight jumped in on.
Yeah.
The mad scientist monster creator. Will those be going into the Encyclopedia Monstergoria, or how is that gonna?
They're going to go to the Encyclopedia Monstergoria. So what that pledge level is I will hit you up over Zoom for like an hour or so, however long it takes to get it done, and then we will create a monster. Where you're going to create a monster, but I will help kind of be like, okay, so you know, let's come up with some attacks or like what a special ability will be, and help relate it to how it would work in 321 RPG. And then I'll send it over to an artist. It'll get drawn up by that artist, and then you will get credited in the book as you know, helping to create a monster.
That's so rad, because I think that'll actually be. No, I did the WHPA thing that I put on drive through, but this will be my second piece of
Awesome.
work. So
It's
I'm
awesome.
pretty stoked about that. And that's why I was so excited. I'm like, dude, I'll get my name in the book. That's so rad.
Yeah. And it's cool too, because like I like hanging out with people. I love talking about this stuff. I love like for me, like I love making monsters. Like I love writing. That it makes me happy, and it makes me happy to be like, oh man, this really goofs someone up if they go about this the wrong way, and I get very excited about it. You know, like I was shooting the breeze at Levi Combs Plan X Games earlier today, and I sent him a dagger for this thing that we're working on, and it is so incredibly nasty that like if you look at it and you touch it, it's on you. It's clearly cursed, but it does do something really cool if you do touch it. But it also does something really bad to you, or potentially can do something really bad to you if you roll a critical. So it's just all about that kind of like, you know, I can't bring all of this stuff to my own table. I would never have all the time, but I can create it and send it off to others so they could like get those calls from their friends who are like, man, that really goofed me up. It's like, well, I told you it was cursed.
That's awesome. And Levi like kicks ass, and it's funny because I think we talked about this the last time I had you on, and I was completely aloof to the whole artist of the book. What was the Vorpal Codex?
Yeah.
That book is just fucking amazing that Levi came up with all those, and like to know he's got that he's working on a dagger is just like
Yeah, no, so my wife Sally, she drew all these swords, and Levi saw them and he's like, what would you think about putting these swords in a book? You have the swords drawn, I'll write the prose, and then Exalted Funeral put it out. It's called the Vorpal Almanac.
Why do I always say codex? I don't know why.
Sold out, maybe, I don't know, but it's an amazing book, and swords, like people like monster books, people like swords. Like you could take a sword, and I think it's statted out for OSC, but like just slide that scale and you could use it for any kind of fantasy system you want.
Yeah.
But each one has like really rich lore and a backstory, and the art obviously is incredibly
phenomenal.
Badass. You know, I don't say that because I'm biased, because you know, but Sally Canarino is an amazing artist, and the work
she's got crazy skills, man.
Like, she really does, man. And I'm very, very proud of her, and I'm very proud of the work she does. And her next book, Archaic, coming out for Ahoy, is going to be something really cool to check out.
Very cool. I can't wait. I'll definitely be grabbing that as well. So you'll have to keep me posted, because I see so much. I see so much going on that like I forget about things.
Yeah.
Like this month is Mothership Month, and I completely forgot about it until like
they just dropped Wage of Sin, right?
Yeah. Dude, 21 projects. I had backed all of them initially.
Yeah.
And then I realized I wasn't going to be able to go to PAX Unplugged, which has me completely fucking bummed.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
And I'm like, man, I've really got to parse back what I'm getting from that too. And it was just like the last few days are just like, in terms of the like figuring out what I can't do right now, sucked, because it's like I had to drop down to like 4 or 5 of the Mothership Month things and not going to PAX, and it's like fuck.
Yeah, no, it's like, listen, going to cons and doing all that stuff is quite the wallet cruncher, man. I mean, PAX is 2 hours from where I live, so I can do that. But I did like altogether, I did like 10 or 11 cons this year. PAX is going to be like the last one for the year, but I did almost one a month, and next year I'm not going to be able to do that. Next year, I definitely can't afford to go to all the conventions that I did, but I'm glad I did. I had a great time, but PAX I'm going to because it's like right down the road. So
yeah, I am like super bummed because I was looking forward to getting to hang out with you, Levi, Brian, and everybody, and of course like my other homies. And it's like I had so many people that I've interviewed that are like, dude, I can't wait to meet you at PAX. That I've messaged them like, guess what? And it's like, but back to your books. Because I could ramble, like I told you, I can ramble. What for you has been the most fun of the new monsters to design without giving away too much?
Ooh,
Or have you redesigned any monsters that are pre-existing that were, so you don't have to spoil anything?
so Geo did a lot of the monsters for the Hotel Exorcist. Like he had like a very very clear idea what he wanted the monsters to be, um, which is
Me.
great because like he and I like we've been working on projects together for like over 20 years. So it's really cool to be able to have him just kind of be like, I want to do this, and then he'll kind of toss it up to me. I'll come up with some powers and abilities. I'll toss it back to him. Like we'll go back and forth on it. Um, so I don't, I wouldn't say that I designed so many monsters this year per se, as I've done in like the past 4 years. But what I did really enjoy this year was in the Hotel Exorcist coming up with different haunts and things that occur when you're kind of just walking around the hotel. Like there are spots as you're walking throughout the hotel that are going to trigger something that's going to happen that you're going to have to react to. I love horror. Horror is one of my favorite things in the world.
Yep.
So it definitely would. It felt cool to be challenged to kind of come up with things like that. And then I built out a lot of like weapons, and I did a lot of character work. So I kind of had more fun this year, um, doing like character work and lore on the characters, more so than actually making specific monsters.
Well, you did a great job of making some really spooky shit in Hotel Exorcist. Are you okay with me discussing what one of the things we encountered in
Oh,
the
please, yeah,
playtest?
go for it. Absolutely.
Was when we were walking down the hallway and we sensed the presence of the little girl and then the big shadow
Yeah.
that was there, and it was just like, I like thinking about it in the game. Even I'm like putting myself in the situation, and I'm like, I would shit my pants. Like about the time I feel this big looming shadow and hear this little girl laugh that you can't see, I'd be like, "Oh, what the fuck?"
There is nothing scarier than the dark than giggling children or like, kids moving at fast paces. Um, I'll tell you this. So the other night, I was watching Gio's daughter. Him and his wife went out, and they were out, and I was in their bed. I was sleeping. It was the nighttime, and I just hear thump, pitter patter, pitter patter, pitter patter, and I'm in complete darkness. The door swings open, and there is like a small child standing at the foot of the bed, and she's like,
Oh,
"Hey,
hell no.
you forgot to put my water next to my bed." And I was like, "Ah!" I'm like screaming, and like, I'm tossing in the bed, and she's laughing her ass off. And when I found her water, and then she was, "Go back to bed, kid." And the next day, I was like, "Do you remember waking up at 3:30 in the morning and scaring me?" She's like, "Yeah, you scream real loud." Listen, as much as like I love horror, like I'm a big fraidy cat. Like if there's a jump scare in a movie, like I Scooby Doo run in my seat, and so I try to bring that idea, those kind of energies to the things that I write when it comes to having someone a game runner at the table retelling these things. So there's like, I threw in some kind of like shining horror gags in there where like you open a door and like the room is in an entire honeycomb and there's bees everywhere. There's a beekeeper in a bee suit and he points at something, and then when you like look away, it's like gone. Like like stuff like that, which is just kind of um, there's horror in the game and in things in the game that go bump in the night. They're gonna attack you. Um, there's things that are gonna mess with you and things that are just gonna be weird. And that to me is one of the most exciting things about the Hotel Exorcist, which is also going to be like She's was telling me today, it's going to be like 150, 200 pages, and the art budget just went up again. But we're going to deliver a book that's going to knock people's socks off. So it's fine.
I can't wait because it's going to be such a fun. If I can ever get like an in-person group together, it's going to be so fun, especially with that.
Next
Because
Halloween,
I
man.
remember one of the rooms that we went into is similar to what you just described.
Yeah.
like the radio was going and all this, playing old music, and I can't remember everything about the room. But we went out and went to go back in to show someone, and it was a completely different room.
Yeah. And
You know,
I think
like
that's the kind of that's horror. It's helplessness. It's kind of being on the balls of your feet at all times, kind of like, keeping your head on a swivel. Um, did I show you the maps? Did I send you the pictures of the maps?
no,
All right, I'll send them to you later. I
cool,
just got an updated map on something, but Skull
nice.
Dixon, who's done a lot of map work for us, who's just fucking next level. Um, he's like, "Well, how do you want to do this?" And I was like, "Have you seen Ravenloft, like the original Ravenloft map?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I was like, "I want you to lean into that." So one of the things that I'm like very excited about is that the map of the hotel on each floor kind of it's got a Ravenloft vibe to it, which is to
Sick.
me like the high watermark of horror and RPGs. And I mean, listen, things have gotten scarier in the years since then. People have like evolved. I mean, like look at Mothership. Mothership is
Yeah.
downright scary at times, and again, just so happy for their success. But Ravenloft was like the first, so wanted to bring back that old school feel with it. And also like, for those watching, like it usually takes us about a year to do a whole book because there's just the two of us. This one's taken a little bit longer than a year, which is just because the hotel kept growing. Um, like
And
it started
breathing.
out as a motel and then it became like a 3-floor hotel with like other areas and then like another area. And so the book, it went from being like a 60-page idea to it's going to be like 150 plus pages. And so, as a thank you to the people who backed it for being patient, we've upgraded everyone to a hardcover. So you're going to get a hardcover copy of the book. You're also going to get an 11 by 17 poster map of the hotel.
Oh,
Double-sided, so you'll be able to
sick.
kind of have something at the table, or just I'm going to pop it in a frame. I know how the hotel goes. I wrote it. But
Yeah,
yeah, so it's
that is badass, but it's gonna
yeah,
be so worth the wait, like
it's not something that we're thrilled about, but it's gravity, man. It just sometimes things just take longer, and if you're gonna do it right. But
but you
we'll
can't rush
definitely be able to
perfection.
turn around the Monstergoria and the rule book faster than we were able to turn around the hotel exorcist. I'm very confident about that.
Nice. But like I was saying, you can't rush perfection,
Yeah,
and that is gonna be such a fucking mind fuck for people. Some of the things going on in that hotel that know just from what we experienced in the playtest game.
yeah.
So I can't. Yeah, probably not everybody will agree, but I'm willing to wait like even longer to
We don't
get
want you.
the
We
finish.
don't want you to wait much longer because I'm dying to get it. Because I mean, like as a creator, like I don't want this to be like Chinese democracy where it takes 14 years and it comes out it's underwhelming. Like it was never going to be Appetite for Destruction again, but you were kind of like, all right, he's been working on it for 14 years. Let's see Guns N' Roses album out. Like it's not going to be like that. We want it to come out. We want it to be fresh. We want it to be exciting for people. But it's just you're waiting to get it done, and you're just like, I just want to get it in my hands too. So and then that'll open up the pipeline. But Geo is currently writing Death by Dino, which is the thing that we kickstarted earlier this year.
Nice.
He's doing and our Patreon is free. There's a $3 tier that I'm going to be putting out like a small adventure every month for, but it's free, and we want people to come and experience 321 RPGs. So we're highlighting monsters on Mondays. We're doing work in progress Wednesdays, showing pictures and stuff and art. Friday, Geo does a weekly writer's journal about the process of writing Death by Dino. So that's working as well. So next year we're going to be dropping the Hotel Exorcist, Death by Dino, the rule book, the Encyclopedia Monstergoria are going to be coming out next year as well. So there's going to be 4 books coming out next year,
Dope.
which is better, which is more than the 1 book that we put out this year, which is the solo missions. But
So that's got me hyped, knowing that I'm going to have 4 mail calls from 321 RPG.
and they're going to be good mail. Well, 3 because the 2 books come together. But yeah,
Oh yeah, 3.
yeah,
Right.
they're going to be good mail days, man, for sure.
I can't wait. So really, I think my last question about these books, at least, and let me know if there's anything else you'd like to cover after this,
Sure.
is what do you hope both players and game runners enjoy the most about the new rule book and the Encyclopedia Monstergoria?
That it's fun, that it's still going to be fast and loose at the table, and that with the Monstergoria, they're going to open it up and be like, oh, that monster's cool. And even if they don't have the adventure that the monster's from, they could just build their own world around it and be like, I want to send my players after that, or I want to build a set piece around that. I want to bring that to the adventure that I'm writing for my players. So that's what I want to get out of this. For me, it
Nice.
would be the most satisfying thing for me.
Just to have someone, I mean, I imagine like having someone you've talked with, say, just online through chat, come up to you and say, unplug next year and be like, dude, that monster that you put in the Monstergoria, we put it in this and we did this, it did this to so and so, and all that has got to be the coolest friggin' thing to have happen.
Honestly, you telling me that I wrote something that killed one of your friends and they had a smile on their face when it happened, there's no higher praise.
Nice.
Yeah.
I actually did have one more question.
Sure.
Are you going to be doing any kind of third-party license with 321
It's
RPG?
been on our menu since like year 2. And yes, we're gonna do it. Brian Shutter, Neon Lord, gave me his, and he said I can just copy off of it. So I'm gonna make one for 321 RPG. I would love for people to start writing content for 321 RPG. So in 2025, we are planning on putting that out, opening up the license, letting people kind of run wild with it and have fun with it. Because
Sick.
there's nothing more that would make me happy in 2025 than someone being like, "Hey, it's gonna be a kick in the ass when they make more money than I do on their backer kits and their Kickstarters, but it's gonna be great because they're gonna be like, hey, I wrote this adventure compatible with 320 RPG, and people are pumped, and I'll be pumped, and I'll be the first one to back it."
I can't wait because not that I've got a billion ideas going, but I've been making little notes as we've been talking here
Yeah, man.
about what I want to do for my monster. And I'm like, oh shit, I could put that in this kind of adventure and do this and that. So yeah, I cannot wait for the license to drop.
Yeah, I kind of mentioned to Gio today. I got to talk about it more tomorrow and figure out when we want to drop it. But yeah, 2025, it's coming. Um, we're finally getting around to a lot of stuff,
Nice.
like
Dude,
launching.
it seems like you're really hitting a stride with the system as a whole.
Yeah, it kind of came out of nowhere, to be honest, because I joke in one of the videos I made, like, because I'm such a savvy businessman, we never launched the actual rule book for the system. Like, the rules were in the first adventure, Rocket to Russia. We kind of slapped together a rule book to be able to give to people when we were selling these books, and then we made a better one, but we never actually were like, hey, we are a system. Here's a rule book. But I think it's going to be okay, because then it's like, now, hey, here's this cool RPG system, and here are 10 adventures that you could pick from. So it's kind of like the reverse of what they do when they launch a video game system, where you have like a new system and only like 2 launch titles. Now it's like, well, here's a new system, and here are 10 different awesome adventures, one for every kind of flavor that you might want to try. So I feel like it's in its own way, the curse became a blessing.
Well, not only the 10 adventures in the book, but like all the books and everything too.
Well, that's what I
You
mean.
know?
Like,
Oh,
when you
yeah.
buy
Well,
it,
then
yeah,
I meant, yeah, I said it backwards from how I meant it. Of then you'll have all the adventures in the book as well. And it's just like, damn. So it's going to end up being at least what, 16 adventures that people can play right out of the gate.
yeah. I mean, there's gonna be 8 in the book, plus we're gonna
Oh,
let Rocket to
8.
Russia
Yes.
go out of print, because it's one of those things where it's the first thing we ever wrote, and then by the second book, we were actually just a lot better, and we understood what we were doing better. So we're going to remaster it at some point, because it does need a good amount of work to get it to actually work better. But you're going to have Escape from Point Nemo, Children of Uma, Children of Uma, Mini Submania, Children of Uma, Death by Dino, Kevin Saves Christmas, Hard Times on the Back Nine, The Hotel Exorcist, The Devil in New Jersey, The Sunrise Limited. Thank you. And there's something else in there I forget, but I think
You
that's
say Hotel Exorcist?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, and then you're gonna have solo adventures, a solo
Yeah.
adventure scene. So you've got 10 things outside of the 8 that come in the book. So yeah, I feel like we're going to a good place in 2025.
Hell yeah, that's dope, dude. I'm so psyched for you. It's like, and not only do you have all of this coming out, you've got another project that we kind of talked about near the beginning, that you worked on with the Neon Lord, Brian Shutter. I tried to find my zine, and I've got it stacked in one of my 8 long boxes that I have in my other room of zines.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where the hell is it? And I was getting so frantic I couldn't find it. But man, you guys crushed it with that. I mean, it's a love letter to 80s zombie movies, and I feel like more specifically like Return of the Living Dead.
It's my favorite zombie movie all time.
That is so great. I love how like he's like, yeah, this was made by the U.S. Army Department of Engineers, funk, and
Yeah. Oh, sure. Oh, yeah, safe. It's oh yeah. So zombie brain eaters, initially the general concept of the story was something I pitched to Geo, but Geo was like, the way that 321 RPG works, it doesn't really lend itself to a churn and burn zombie adventure, because obviously the chances are high that the person you show up to the dance with is not going to be the person you'll be leaving with zombies. So I was at Game Face Con down in Baltimore. It's my friend Justin Siriscon, who's Severed Books. And I was right next to Brian, and Brian and I were shooting the breeze. And he's like, "What are you working on?" And we had one of those conversations. And I was like, "Well, I had this idea, blah, blah, blah." And he's like, "I like that. We could do that." He's like, "Well, what if we did this with the dice pool instead of doing it off a D10?" And he pitched me the 5 Alive thing, which is the D12, 10, 8, and 6. And it cascades down. And then we kind of kept going back and forth with the idea on how it would work and how to lose dice as you go. And Geo actually played a pivotal role in that, because he was talking about like what's the difference between a zombie bite and getting shot or getting stabbed. And yeah, so we thought of it in March, and then we wrote it, got a cover, got some art for it. Brian laid it out, and we had it in people's hands by August.
That's crazy.
Which is no small feat. And we didn't crowdfund it. We did a pre-order on Etsy, because we did it through my Etsy store for 321 RPG. So then, like the first one happened, we were at ShireCon. Shout out to Tom Wilson for ShireCon up in Connecticut. And Sally, Brian, and I, and some other people were shooting the breeze, and someone was like, "Oh, what if we did Christmas? What if we did like one in a mall?" And then the idea happened for a Christmas one. And then we pitched Brian was like, "What if you could play like a Santa or a Mrs. Claus?" And then that was September 29th. And so we wrote it and got it back from the editor by October 29th. And Brian, we got some art, got a cover. Brian's laying it out right now. We got the pre-order up for it. It's called Season's Eatings.
I love that title, by the way.
And what we built it is the Garland, a fictional mall in Minnesota called Garland Pines. It's 1998. It's Christmas Eve. This is a mall that has more Santas per square capita of any other mall in the country. You can play a Santa or a Mrs. Claus or any variation thereof. You're at a party at See You Next Tuesday's chain restaurant, commiserating after being a mall Santa for a season, when a zombie outbreak occurs after hours. The mall's locked down, and you're locked in there with a bunch of zombies and more people turning, because even after hours on the mall, the chain restaurants are open, the movie theater's open. So stuff's happening. And we wrote 66 or 70 stores that you can encounter. Some of them are closed. Some of them still have employees in them. The gates are up, the gates are down. Some are locked, some are not. Back hallways. It's a 2-floor mall. It's a full mall. You get to
That's
play through a full mall, and
wonders.
we do a thing where you have a disturbance that happens in the middle where you roll a d6 and one of 6 weird things will happen to kind of turn the game on its ear. And the whole point is you need to break out of the mall. You need to escape the mall. And there are 3 endings. The only way to get the good ending is if everyone who leaves the mall with you is uninfected. Otherwise, you get the not so good ending. And if everyone dies, the bad ending. But yeah, we banged it out in a month. Brian is laying it out. There's a mall map. That's the whole mall that we actually made a pamphlet based on an old mall pamphlet from the Monmouth Mall in New Jersey, where you open it up and you see a list of all the stores, and you see the mall map. And then we have a pre-order sticker that's available. A little Mac and me says, yeah. So we're really proud of it. We have lots of other ideas for more expansions for it, as well as a fantasy version of it. The sky's the limit with 5 Alive.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what you guys continue to do with this, because it's fucking awesome. And I mean, I think anybody out of the 80s that's a horror fan has a ridiculous love for the zombie genre because of like Return, and now you guys are kind of touching on Dawn with this.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, it's so great. I love it.
Yeah, and you know, and we built in there, like, you know, the beauty of Romero's storytelling with zombies. And I know Return of the Living Dead is Dan O'Bannon or whatever, but there's always that kind of like slight social commentary that goes through it. And so in you know, in Suburban Decay in the USA, the first Zombie Bringers adventure, it's corporate malfeasance. It's people cutting corners, and you know, the zombie outbreak occurs from that. And then in this one, you know, it starts with holiday shoppers fighting over a toy. You know, and
that never happens.
Never happens. Yeah, I mean, it's cool. We got some cool NPCs in there. We got like side missions. All you gotta do is roll a 5 to stay alive. That's the whole game.
Dude, it blows my mind that you guys were able to pound out 70 stores, NPCs, and the adventure in a month. Like,
it's kind of crazy here. I don't know if you can see it that well, but like here is the rough printout of the pamphlet that you're going to get with it.
Nice.
Which is the mall, and you can see here the different stores, and then the benefit of doing this from your office.
That is so sick.
Yeah, Brian's unreal. So
you both kind of have this crazy. I've mentioned it to him before, and I think you've got it too, of this discipline that I can't even touch on, of just burrowing in and focusing on your work that is just beyond my comprehension.
I try to write a little something every day, even if it's just jotting down an idea. There's some days when like today I had nothing. Today. I wrote like a few paragraphs and called it a day. I wasn't there. But by doing that, I set myself up so when it's go time, I'm just hunkering in and hammering those keys and I'm going to town. So
yeah, and he's the same way. So you two together is like having the dynamic duo of determination and discipline.
Yeah. I mean, he is no shit the hardest working man in RPGs today. I'm just trying to keep up. So
well, you're doing a damn good job.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Dude, I have had a blast tonight.
Me too, man.
But before we do sign off for the evening, we're at an hour, so I don't want to keep you too much longer.
All good.
I would like to give you the chance to plug the backer kit and also tell folks where else they can find you, like the Patreon and on the socials and all that good stuff.
Cool. So thank you all for checking us out tonight, and I hope the things we talked about kind of gave you the inclination, at least go to the backer kit and check it out. But we are on backer kit until the 29th of September. We have 2 out of the 5 stretch goals we have, and we'll add more. If we keep making money, we'll add more stretch goals. We are not allergic to money, but 3-2-1 RPG is really a system. It's a D10 roll under system. It's meant for cinematic gameplay. It's meant to give you the chance to be the hero at your table and then go home happy after doing some real cool shit with your friends. We got a lot of great adventures for it. And if you just buy the rule book, you're going to get at least 6 adventures in there, if not 8, if not more than that. And we know that if you get this to your table, you and your friends are going to have a blast playing it. We are rocking on the backer kit. There's some definite extras you can find there, like the solo adventures PDF that's in the comment section, the community section. And we really hope that you take a chance on us. And thanks for watching.
Yeah, I can testify. Back this, get on it. You're gonna love it. And
thanks, man.
Don't wait. I mean, you can wait technically up till the 29th, but don't wait. Help John breathe a little easier. And let's get that song.
Yeah, I would really like to get that song out. That'd be cool too.
That would be badass.
Oh my God, they're so good. They're just so good. I love those guys. You can find me across social media at John McGuire RPG. I'm on Instagram. I'm on the Blue Sky now. TikTok is 321_RPG. And we have websites, 321rpg.com. Having some issues with the www part of it so far, but if you just type in 321rpg.com, it will come up. I'm not good at computers.
Well, folks, have a great night. If you enjoyed our chat, give it a like and maybe think about subscribing to the channel and dropping a comment in there to help us in the old algorithm. If you haven't already, check out some more of the interviews. I'll be back tomorrow night with Toby Loke at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to talk about his upcoming Mork Borg project. And I hope to see you there. Other than that, have a great night.
Take care.